and good morning, everybody. Welcome in
Hello.
to another episode of Morning Ritual, our TTRPG talk show where the cat has decided to try and bite my face. I'm one of your hosts, Anita. My pronouns are she, they. And down here...
Oh, that's it means it's my turn. Hi, I'm
Yeah!
Noir. I'm he, they, the other host, the slightly less awake host. And we've got a very special episode for you all today with an even more special guest. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Wait, where are they?
They're right behind you. You just missed them.
Oh my god! Hi! It's early for me too. Sorry, one second. Hang on. Okay. Hi, I'm here now. Hi, my name is Jess or Fawn. I go by FaunAndGames in most places online. My pronouns are they, them. And I'm a queer Canadian, non-binary, neuro-spicy variety streamer, doing all sorts of different stuff. Doing the many hat juggle.
I
many hats.
I have to confess, I had no idea you were Canadian until we started talking in the green room. They're all over the place. You can never tell.
The Canadians might be right behind you this second.
You might even have a Canadian in your home.
You'll have no idea. There'll be just a moose crossing the road. They'll pass out of the way and a Canadian is standing there. And where did they get there? You'll have no idea.
You'll
Very
know they're there
sneaky.
because they'll go, oop. Canadians!
Oh my god, I didn't even expect that. We were talking about it and I didn't expect it. That was so good.
So, hello everybody. I've got tons of questions for you here, but so screw it. I'll just jump in because we always flounder around for like 10-15 minutes, but I'm gonna be professional today. You have
Today? My day? You choose to be professional today?
It won't
Why are
last.
you gonna do this to me?
It won't last. Somebody's gonna say something, and I'm gonna take it childish in my head and giggle for 15 minutes. I guarantee it. But you've been in the streaming game for a little bit now. I'm kind of curious. How did you get yourself started in all this?
The short answer is Geek and Sundry. Yeah, I was a Felicia Day fan, like way back in the day. And so I was watching everything that Geek and Sundry put out, like their first week of launch on Twitch. And then one of the days there were these weirdos, talking about distracting everyone in the bar with a dancing bear and all this stuff. And I was like, what the f- is this? I've never in my what? And yeah, that made me go into the whole deep dive of what TTRPGs like that. Previous to that, I'm non-binary, but I was femme socialized. I'm femme perceived, and I on many occasions tried to enter gaming spaces and stuff like that and was not welcome. So I never had an opportunity previously to find and play TTRPGs until the internet. Until online, a bunch of online nerds. I was like, is anyone watching this weird show? Does anyone want to play these games? I don't know what the hell is going on, but I want to do it. And it was we're on the internet and I'm used now to talking at the camera, but I'm a shy bean. I'm a little shy guy. And it took a lot of nerve for me to be like, hi, I want to play games. Does anyone want to play games? I want to play these games.
It's wild to think of how many people were inspired by Geek and Sundry. I missed the Geek and Sundry bandwagon. By the time I got into it, Critical Role had just left. Yeah, when Geek and Sundry was big, my favorite show on it was what the fuck? It was Tabletop with Will Wheaton. Just because I liked learning new games, I had no interest in the rest of it, and now I've become friends with a lot of people that were a part of that, and I'm catching up. I'm watching Callisto 6 now, which is really freaking good.
Real good.
So good.
And it's just like, oh man, I wish we still had something like this.
Yeah. No, there were some really good ones. There were some really good shows, and exactly what you're talking about, where like they did some alternate system shows very early on, and like I'd be really curious to know like the stats and the analytics of like how well they did versus some other stuff, because even to this day we could have this talk about how, you know, indie games have it harder, like getting seen, getting you know, sponsorships, representation, like all this sort of stuff. Like, so I'd be very curious, because like you're saying, like Geek and Sundry definitely jump started a bunch, like it definitely did a bunch of stuff fairly early, but it's not always the stuff that's remembered and vocalized, you know?
Yeah, it kind of feels like Geek and Sundry was like 5 years too early. Like, well, I feel
they had to do it. They had to do it so that other people could also do it, right? Like that's someone has to be that like that guinea pig. Like, I don't know.
Someone has to be first.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny when you look at it though, because if I recall correctly, at the end of everything, they essentially tried to set up their own streaming service.
Project Alpha.
Project Alpha, which failed spectacularly.
It was the first Dropout.
Well, and now we have Dropout, and Dungeons and Dragons is also coming out with their own streaming service.
24-hour D&D channel.
Which... I feel like we all have thoughts.
I'm too gay for this. Sorry.
But you know, it's just if they could find a way to make a comeback, I think they would do much better. But then again, you know, G4 tried that too, and well, at least I'll have that went. So who knows? But back to you. I'm taking a look at your one sheet that's on your bio, and oh boy, you have done a lot. So I mean, I'm taking a look here. You've been featured on Kotaku Gaming. That's GAYMING and Pink News. Like, I mean, once you hit like a milestone, like working with brands like that, like how do you keep yourself going? Like, how do you set up milestones, or is it just kind of like come what may?
Hi, I have the big neurospice. Hi, I am like a very spicy baby, and I am the kind of person that thrives in like a fire. Like, throw me in when it's hot. Like, that's when I go. If it's not all or nothing, then it's nothing for me. Like, we have a saying on my channel, because we do put our little butts all over everything, that it's all ass or no ass. Like, it's one or the other. There's no in between. So 100%, a lot of that stuff was me jumping in to speak out when something happened, or to jump in and like help an event, or like, you know what I mean? Like something like that, where something was happening with the streaming space. Like, some of those articles are not for the best reason, unfortunately. It's because, you know, all sorts of marginalized creators getting attacked on Twitch, and like talking out about that sort of stuff. Some of it is good that comes from that kind of stuff, like helping to organize huge I'm gonna say the anti-magic school trans rights initiatives, and that kind of stuff. So it's all over the place of, yeah, I don't know. I I definitely like jump in without looking a lot. So.
And was there a particular issue that you encountered that you felt, you know, extremely passionate about?
I feel extremely passionate about a lot of things. I
do too. It gets me in trouble.
Yeah, 100%. That's the thing. Like, I'm yelling about a lot of things all the time. I am both, and I'm very easily distracted too. So I think it's very possible to have nuance, to have, a variety of things happening all at once. Many things that's life. That's life, baby. Things are happening all the time. So sometimes I'm like, oh, hey, everyone, look, cute new game. Like, oh, rainbows and puppies. Oh, my God. And I was like, there is an issue that we are all stopping what we're doing and we are fundraising for the next week. And we are talking about this and we are going to call out this bigotry and we're gonna, but then also at the same time, sometimes there's still sparkles,
Yeah.
Like.
So, one of the things that I've personally encountered with you is I've played in some games that you are producing.
Yeah.
And I do have to say you are a fantastic producer. I cannot stress to the audience enough how much of a difference an excellent producer makes in a production, especially a TTRPG production, because it's like rounding up a bunch of cats. Nero spicy cats, and it's not the easiest job for anybody, and I've seen some folks handle it with less grace than others, but you have always done such a masterful job. So I guess I'm bringing that up to say, one, thank you. It is a service that is underappreciated in this space, and two, how did you find yourself becoming a producer? Because no producer I talk to started going, I want to produce TTRPG streams. It just kind of ends up happening.
Yeah, it ends up happening 100%. I never ever would listen. If I had known I was gonna done this, I would have done a completely different route to get here. I am like one of the rare people I know. So many people in the TTRPG space have so much experience where they're like, oh yeah, I was a drama kid. I did all the drama stuff. And I either was like on stage or behind stage or like blah, blah, blah. I did none of that. I skipped all of that. I was like too shy to ever even do, like, I couldn't even do a high school drama class. I was like, talk in front of people? No, I could never, like, couldn't be me. I can't. So I missed all of that. And I basically did the thing where I filled a need. I saw something we needed. I saw a lot of shows that could be better if they had support. And I am very big into helping where I can. Like if there's something I can do, then of course I want to do it. And I really appreciate that comment. Thank you so much, because I think producers don't get a lot of shout outs. Don't get a lot. It's hard to hype yourself up, and it's also hard when you're not on the face of a lot of the shows you produce and the events you support and that sort of thing. And it happens, and I understand it, but it's also a little disappointing. I would like to see it improved. And I am very happy with a lot of the production I've gotten to do, but I'm also very happy because I've seen a lot of those good practices roll over into a lot more spaces. You know what I mean? Like, having done this for years now, there's a lot more stuff that I never used to see that I now see so many more people including. And I've actually seen resources I've created make their way into more spaces, and I'm delighted. Like, I'm very, very happy because I know I think I've produced some shows that you were on when B and I were doing a lot of work for Roll20. The wonderful, amazing B Zelda, shout them out. Fellow Canadian.
Yeah.
Once again,
they're taking over.
Sneaking around. And we were producing a show for Roll20 called Indie Showcase, where we got to showcase.
That's the one I was on.
Yeah. And so we got to highlight all these wonderful indie games. That was the whole point of it, was like, let's see all the variety of games you can play, online, remotely, with the Roll20 system, like, just to have a system on which to play all your stuff with. And this was years ago, and we worked together to make a bunch of for cast coming on, info to make everything available. Also info that broke it down so that you can make sure all your shows were sufficiently cast with a table as diverse as like the whole ass community is, because it's diverse and it should be that way at your table. We made a whole system of safety tools to make it available for everyone. You know what I mean? Just like online We didn't make the safety tools. Sorry, let me be clear. Like, there's so many people out there making amazing safety tools. We just created sheets to make it easy for as many people as possible to populate their info, and, you know, get that sort of stuff. And I've since seen several of those resources circulating through the spaces, and I'm like, that's wild, because we made that years and years and years ago, you know, and to see it getting used makes me happy, because it means more people are being mindful. It means more people are, you know, putting in the effort. It means more people are going to make sure that their shows are accessible, that they're safe, that they're as safe as possible, as much as you can be. At least being mindful of all those things, you know, is really, really important. So it's wild. Yeah, I've been doing it for a long time, and so it's cool. It's cool to see, but it's also, oh gosh, I didn't get into it on purpose. You're right. Like,
nobody does.
I 100% was like, my friends want to play these games. I want to share these games. I want more people to see these amazing games. And I'm gonna just be real. It was all indie games.
Yeah. So for something, I'm sorry.
No, go.
I was just gonna ask so for something like the indie showcase, is that something like you create on your own and then you pitch it to Roll20, or did Roll20 approach you? Like, how do you go about establishing that relationship to create a project that kind of fulfills the mission that you had in mind?
I'm lucky that they reached out to me for that one, because on my own channel, I was doing a show that I called Indie Spotlight, oddly enough. Like, I mean, there's only so many names you can have. Let's be real. Indie Showcase, Indie Spotlight. And I literally have to cycle in my head every time. I'm like, which one was which? Which one was which? Which one was which? So I had a show I was doing as regularly as my little brain would allow me to do. And so sometimes that was twice a month, and sometimes that was once a month. And I would literally let anyone sign up, as long as like it was a different person every time, because I wanted everyone to have an opportunity to play different games. So I was like, here are the upcoming games. Let me know who wants to play. You know, and that's how I freaking learn. Like what you're talking about I really appreciate you saying that, like, you know, you felt I was professional. That comes from having done so much and having experienced problems and having, you know, discovered the problem of being like, oh, letting anyone join in is good, but I do need to double check everyone is cool and everyone is comfy, and I do need to double check all this stuff. You know, learning as you go really makes a huge difference. And so I learned by doing it on my own, and then starting to do it for bigger and bigger companies and that sort of stuff, that there's so many moving parts that people don't see. And it's really important to do what you can, like, because I want everyone at every table to be as good as possible. Nothing will ever be perfect. This is a live performance. These are wild, open-ended games telling stories that could be anything, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't take the time to do what you can and make it as good for everyone as possible. Like, so that was really important to me. And I was doing it on my own. And I had done other stuff with Roll20 before. I had done a bunch of shows with and for them. I used to help when they did some online conventions, and I would run games for them. Yeah, Roll20 Con. And so I would run games for them back then. And even before that, I was in a lot of shows with them. And even before that, they did have their program where they would highlight. If you applied, you could have an opportunity to be highlighted by them as content creators using their systems, using their stuff. And so I had that connection with them for years already. Like, basically, when we talk about how Geek and Sundry, you know, it could have been better, but they had to do it because they had to be the first. I was jumping into everything as soon as it came. I was like, what's this? Let me try. What's this? Let me try. What's this? Let me try. You know, let me see what this is all about. So like I think I was just lucky enough to be
of games in production and being like, I can take a little of this and a little of that.
What's this? I'm gonna try it. Listen, you gotta try everything once.
I mean, you're not wrong. I will say, just one more personal note. On the indie showcase for Roll20, it was one, it was a system that I had only played once before, Zyhander, and two, I was GMing it, which I had never done, and three, I was running a pre-con, which I had never done. So I was extraordinarily worried and uncomfortable and like, oh my god, I'm gonna flush this up. And again, you and B were just fantastic. You got me cool, and we ran through the thing, and it was awesome. So I cannot throw enough compliments your way. That said, I feel like the space has changed quite a bit from those days. Have you noticed any changes in the space, and has that kind of altered how you approach creating new projects, casting new projects, any of that stuff?
I mean,
or have you not noticed the change? I'm very curious.
There's always change. I think that's part of it is you have to be open to change. You need to be open to learning. I think that's something that the space needs so much. It is such an always growing, always changing space. Also, hi Sphinx.
Hi Sphinx.
And yeah, if you aren't ready and willing to learn and grow, you're either gonna be left behind or make some really gross ass mistakes, or like, you know, like all sorts of stuff. Like you need to be open and listening and moving and adjusting. And that's why it's hard. It's not easy. Like it's not easy at all. It's a lot of work. And so I've definitely noticed a lot of changes, and I've seen a lot, like I myself also, and I've seen it a lot in others, like have experienced a lot of burnout. I've seen a lot of burnout, and I do a lot less stuff now. I do a lot less stuff in the TTRPG space. I'm happy I have some like writing that came out recently with some folks and stuff like that. I still absolutely have a few regular shows I produce behind the scenes, and then I try and still do as much as possible. I really, really still believe in and love TTRPGs or fundraising events where you can bring a lot of different people together to speak on a lot of different things. I think there's so much value and impact in that. And I've really seen the love and the hype and the support for a lot of stuff where you can uplift, because there's so many people making so many amazing things. Mm-hmm. Anytime there's something going on, you know, there's a lot of hardship, and sometimes we focus a lot, because it's true and because we focus a lot on trauma, but it's really nice to also focus on joy. And it's really nice to uplift and be like, okay, we always hear about everything when it's tough, and that can be really hard and heavy and disheartening as, you know, a marginalized person, to be like, why are you only listening to me when I'm in pain and suffering? So I do like to make a point as much as possible to uplift and support, you know, joy of different, because there's so many people, like I said, making games where you can very easily be like, okay, we're only doing games, you know, by different people, and it's all going to this cause. Like whatever your cause is, you can find amazing folks making games. You can find amazing folks that will run and play games. You can find all over the map. And I think there's huge value in that.
Yeah.
To have these stories and these voices uplifted, especially in times when they're being really, really diminished.
Like an active, just an active effort to silence marginalized voices and marginalized history. Yeah, we're living in a rough one. We're living in a rough one. But I do love that aspect of focusing on positivity and uplifting the space, especially in spite of everything that's going on. I also know to say, like, you're doing your thing on Twitch, and one of the questions that I ask Twitch streamers is, how do you get yourself up every day to, like, you know, sit at the computer, turn on OBS, do your thing there for a couple of hours consistently? Because that's the struggle for me. It's just like, I don't mind doing it, but it's the consistency that ends up becoming overwhelming. So I'd love your perspective and insight on that.
Yeah, I actually had to adjust, like, once again, like with the way the world is, with the absolute exhaustion I know a lot of folks face from just surviving in the world we live in, not to mention the additional difficulty that comes with any kind of content creation. Putting yourself out there, making things can be freaking exhausting. Having to be your own cheerleader all the time, exhausting. Yeah. Like, if you don't do it, you have no idea how freaking, oh my God. And like, and very often if you do anything, like a lot of creative stuff, it means you have to do, you're like, oh, I love this thing. Here's this thing I love. But in order to do it, I need to do 100 other things. Like,
yeah, I think there is a perspective from some folks that is just, I turn on my Switch and then I play Zelda. It's not that. It's turning on the OBS, making sure your cameras are where they're supposed to be, making sure your sound is coming through, which it's the sound for me.
Oh God.
How many times have I gone into stream muted? So many times.
I can't fucking
when my microphone drops for no reason.
Audio is the worst. Audio is all I will always say it. Audio is the goddamn worst enemy of anyone anywhere. It is mean and inconsiderate, and like, it's audio is the worst. Once again, going back to that, like, I wish I had known what path I was gonna take, because I would have gone into drama and then I would have gone into audio, because like freaking audio engineering and audio mixing is such a wild thing that's so underappreciated but so important. Like, the value of having good audio, it's one of my always concerns. But for me, something I would say I had to do for myself, and I have seen other people doing it, and I do recommend it if you are comfortable with it. I had to switch from having set days and set times to just having set days. So my community knows I will always stream Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but the exact start time often flip-flops an hour or two. Like, it's a little wibbly wobbly. And so I communicate it, in our Discord, and I communicate it on socials and that sort of stuff. So I am consistent on always streaming Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And then if I have it in me, I will do a bonus stream and then that sort of stuff. But those days I don't falter from, because that, to me, having that little bit of like, it's the most I can do with my brain and my body and this world that we live in. But it's also, it's just enough consistency within just enough wiggle room. So I had to switch to a little bit. But and then when I have something I'm really excited about and I have the ability to do so, I might throw an extra like Thursday or Saturday, or like an extra like little bit just here or there.
Spice it up.
Yeah, like we'll like, oh, guess
just
what?
Like a cheeky Sunday stream.
So I have to ask, do you stream full time, or do you do this on top of like your what I like to call a mild mannered life? Like, this is the FaunAndGames like the Superman S when you get home, or is this is there something else on top of this?
This is my main thing, and I do a lot of gigs. I do a lot of like, pick up freelance work. Like a lot of like, this is my main hub. Streaming and trying to make stuff and trying to do things, and then I have a few like consistent little things here and there, and then I pick up like gigs where possible. I do some freelance work. I do, once again, not just wearing hats, but juggling hats, and then mid juggle switching hats, and then like,
I just laugh because they say our generation's lazy, and like everybody that I know has like 4 or 5 jobs. It's just like, okay.
Yeah, sure.
Could you imagine having one job in this economy?
No.
No. I couldn't imagine. Oh God.
Yeah, one consistent thing that you don't even like. Oh my God. And you just lean back and you're like, oh, my papa did this, and now I do it, and I'm just chilling in the office, and like I get these sweet bonuses.
I'd kill for a trust fund. I want to be the worst person. I want to be a nepo baby.
Okay, but like, would you still do stuff if you were a nepo baby? Like, where do you think you'd fall?
I think if I were a trust fund kid, nepo baby, I think I'd still do this stuff, but I'd be an asshole, and two, no, I think I'd still do this because I love what I do. It's just the stress of like, oh fuck, here comes rent. Like, rent is a boss battle every month. But no, like I do think I'd still be doing what I do. If you were a nepo baby with a trust fund, do you think you would still be doing what you do?
Yeah, but I'd definitely be doing it a lot more chill ass. Like, I definitely fucking like
you got that boss battle to look forward to. That's why everything is less chill.
Yeah, like exactly like you said. It's like it's wild how much additional stress. Like, and I'm like, I wish I could just detach this just unload this heavy stress ball that you always carry. Like, just carrying it around. It's so heavy. Like, we shouldn't have to carry the stress around. Like,
the stress of it just I like to imagine it like amplifying gravity, because it's like things that aren't heavy become heavy when the stress of financial survivability is added to it. Where it's just like, you know, extend yourself out to do these projects that you will enjoy doing. But if there's like a hiccup or something that comes with it, then it's just like, oh shit, am I gonna be able to? And it turns things into a nightmare. But that is the life of a freelancer. It's just like that and waiting for invoices.
Yeah. And then I just pay more people. Honestly, I would just pay more people. That's my dream. Like, honestly, if I had the money, my favorite timelines have always been, one of my favorite things about doing like shows like Indie Showcase and stuff like that was I got to reach out to so many people and I said, hey, can I pay you to do stuff? Can I pay you to, like, I have money. Like, let me pay you to do, because there's so many, like, we're all here doing like awesome stuff. Like, so many people doing like so much cool stuff, but also everyone's fighting for the same few bucks. We're all like share, you know what I mean? Like, the amount of times where I'm like,
here's the same $20 around.
Here's my $5 I got recently, and I'm giving it to you. And then, like, you know, that person's like, oh, I got this $5. Let me give it to someone else. Like, we're all just like, I just love and want to support everything you do, but I only have this $5.
I kind of blame that for dividing the space a little bit as well, because like it feels like we're hitting, like, the space is maturing and growing and all that, and it feels
we're having growing pains right now. I can tell for sure.
Yeah, it feels like there is a bit of a crab in a bucket mentality that is starting to spring up, and resentment. And there's resentment growing for people that, you know, we should be rooting for. But it's just like, well, if they keep winning, then there's going to be less winning for everybody else. And it's just like, I think that's why we're seeing a lot of good talent and a lot of good people kind of stepping away from the TTRPG space. Because it's just like, you know, you want to succeed at what you do, you know, but it's not worth the like bullshit at this point.
Stress and the burnout. Because to Jess's point earlier is that it's a lot of work, and it's not just physical labor, it's emotional, it is like mental work as well as it is, as much as it is physical or digital or that sort of tangible work. It's a lot of mental labor as well. And a lot, it takes a toll on your mind, body, and soul.
Yeah, it can be really rough when like there's so many things. So many things can be really rough.
Yeah.
Sand. but also no.
It's coarse and it gets everywhere.
Sand.
It's coarse and it gets up. No, sorry, I don't want to do that. You know, when you want so badly to make something, you want so badly to share something, you want so badly to uplift people doing cool things, like, and you can't do enough. You can't, no matter how we can't all be Bigelow out there. You know, like, I feel like I've seen so many people be like, why don't people shout out more stuff they love? I was like, I see people shouting out stuff they love. I shout out stuff I love. It just doesn't always, like, there's a huge mix between how many times you've already done it and now you're out of voice to shout anymore. There's a mix of, like, you know, not everyone has that freaking luck of suddenly, like, exploding. Like, a huge thing in a lot of spaces and a lot of creation is sometimes you just get lucky. Like, sometimes
just at the right place at the right time and the right
you're
room for
just at
people.
the right place at the right time, and it can be hard to never get that, but it's possible that you'll never get, like, that exact piece of luck, but hopefully you'll get something else, and you gotta keep trying if you got it in you. Like,
Yeah.
And I think another thing too is that, yes, you are shouting the things that you love from the rooftops, but a lot of times the algorithm only brings engagement if it's pain and suffering.
that's exactly why, like, one of the things I shout out a lot is, like, hey, when you see something positive, shout that and shout that out, lift that up, because that's the thing, like, it's hardest to see more of is the joy and the support. Don't only be there for the trauma. Don't only be there when times are, like, at their worst. Don't only support people and communities during that 1 month of the year where they got, you know, a special month. Like, don't only, like, people exist as who they are all the time, not just 1 month of the year, not just one day, not just 1 week.
And it's only 28 days. It's bullshit. No, I'm sorry.
No, it's not. Like, why the shortest month? Excuse me. Like, why the shortest month? Explain.
That whoever made that decision was so thoroughly petty that I can only respect it a little bit. Like, fine, we'll give them a month, but it'll be the shortest month. They only get to be happy 28 days.
29 every 4 years. How generous.
We threw in a bonus day for you every 4 years.
You'll take it and you'll like it. Hey, is there a Black History Month in Canada?
It's the same.
It's the same.
It's different in the UK, but it's the same in Canada as in the US. Because, like, a lot of times things happen as, like, a North America, you know, like, so a lot of things are similar.
Did it start in the US first or Canada? Because I like the idea of the US going, fine, we'll give them a day, and Canada going, oh, all right, cool. Yes.
I think they might have started separately and then come together. I think it's sort of like how, you know, once... I mean, don't freaking quote me on it. I assume that this is being looked up right now.
I'm Googling.
1915
is when it was, when it originated.
But where?
It was historian and author Dr. Carter G. Woodson founded the Association for the Study of Negro Life and History. The organization is now known as the Association for the Study of African American Life and History. It's from the Library of Congress. It was originally it was actually a week in February of 1926.
Give them a whole week and that's it.
Dr. Woodson selected the week in February that included the birthdays of Abraham Lincoln and Frederick Douglass, two key figures in the history of Black Americans. Okay. And then President Ford in 1975 issued a message on the observance of Black History Week, urging all Americans to recognize the important contributions made to our nation's life and culture by Black citizens. And then the ASALH expanded the commemoration from a week-long observance to Black History Month in 1976, after President Ford's memo in 75. And in the same year, President Ford issued a message on the observance of Black History Month. In subsequent years, presidents continued to issue messages on Black History Month.
Okay, well, that's
And then,
cool.
and then the public law, Congress made it like an actual public law in '86.
All right, cool.
Now you know.
A year before my birthday, must have known I was coming. I'm taking credit. Jess, I hope you don't mind my asking, but I've gotta do a Canadian rundown with you because I am partnered with a Canadian, so I want to see if some things are universal or some things just Anita. So, how do you feel about hockey?
In general,
Yeah,
I don't have cable TV, so I can't. I used to watch hockey very consistently, and my mom actually loved hockey. So when I was growing up, there was always hockey in my household, because my mom introduced my dad to hockey and sports, and then my dad introduced my mom to soap operas.
I love your family. I love your family so much. That's awesome.
Because my dad came over here and he didn't speak a lick of English. And so the only thing on all the time was daytime like soap operas. And he attributes some of his English to soap operas.
Is it all right if I ask where he's from?
He's from the Azores, which is like a small collection of islands.
Okay.
Kind of off.
My Chicago
like,
public schooling coming in hot here because I have
no
idea what the fuck
no one ever knows it. No one ever knows it. It's a small collection of islands, and it's kind of like an hour or two flight off the coast of Europe, and then just like a little bit up from Africa, and then they have another island system like that's down closer to Africa.
It's by Portugal.
Okay.
Yeah, it's off the coast. It's about like an hour or two's flight from in like the middle of the ocean. Just these little islands popped up, and literally, if you try and look at a map, go to like a Google map and like zoom out to the whole globe, they don't exist. And you zoom in and they still don't exist. And you zoom in and they still don't exist. And you have to zoom in several times until you finally find this tiny little collection of islands. And it's literally these beautiful, unreasonable, like volcanic islands. They're so gorgeously, ridiculously fertile that it's like they threw down seeds and stuff grew. So a lot of Europe used it as a trading route port when they wanted like tropical stuff, but somewhat kind of nearby. So it used to grow the majority of like bananas for the UK, and then like
it's smack dab in the middle of the North Atlantic Ocean.
It's in the Atlantic. It's literally like it's really, really gorgeous. But it's really like often it's not known. It's fine. Like no one ever has heard of it or known of it. And it's neat because it's volcanic, but it's sleeping volcanic. So you can go, and there are like hot vents where they will lower down the food and like cook it, like, and then not into the volcano, in the ground, like they dig towards the hot vents, and then they will cook food that way. I remember when I was a kid growing up, I thought the ocean was always hot because the only time I had gone to the ocean was when we went to the islands. And when you go to the islands, it's so warm because it's not full tropical, but almost. And then the ground is so warm that if you dig your feet into the sand in the beach, it gets warmer as you go down because of how it is. So I grew up thinking that the ocean was hot. And then when I was a teenager, I went to, I don't know, I think like San Francisco. And I was like, hey, look, the ocean. I'm going to go running in. Like go running into the ocean. And I could not believe how freaking cold it was. I was like, why is the water cold? I thought the ocean was always hot. Like, what?
Holy crap, this place is gorgeous.
It's beautiful. It's full of waterfalls.
There's like a little circle.
Yeah.
That's
Nikki says,
gorgeous.
if you want a tropical vacation, but you don't want to harm indigenous folks, you can go to Azores.
Yeah.
She went to San Miguel a few years ago, and it was beautiful. CM admin trip.
Yeah.
That is freaking beautiful.
It's gorgeous.
to continue on, do you have a hockey team of preference?
I have to support the Leafs. This is actually what I was gonna say. My mom grew up in. My mom was born in. No, I'm sorry. It's a forever disappointment. My mom still tells stories. Like, I grew up and my mom would like cite off stats. My mom is like, these are all these hockey stats.
My
like,
grandma was the same.
All. Yeah, and like she is on it. But my mom also tells the saddest story. She talks about when she was a little girl. She snuck downstairs to put on the TV, and she saw the last time the Leafs won the Stanley Cup when my mom was un petit bébé. Like, they have not made it to the Stanley Cup since then. And it is the most heartbreaking thing.
My grandma always said that at her funeral, she wanted the Stanley Cups to be her pallbearers so they could let her down one last time.
Oh, that is the most. Yep. That's.
Oh, okay. My next question is, do you have a basic understanding of French?
Je comprends de petit peu, mais je ne parle pas bien.
God, that's so cool. That's so cool.
All the French I know is from kindergarten, because the system so failed that the best French I learned was from my kindergarten teacher teaching us like songs in French. You know what I mean? So all the like sing-songy like little things that they teach you when you're like a little kid, that's the only stuff I remember.
Alouette, j'entends alouette, alouette, j'entends pleurer, j'entends pleurer la tête, j'entends pleurer la tête, et la tête.
Yeah.
Alouette, oh, yeah.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Violetta, Violetta. Did you ever learn that one?
I didn't learn that one.
Those are the ones I.
I love Canadians.
Frère Jacques, dormez-vous. Yeah. Those are the ones that I learned. I learned Frère Jacques, and we learned Alouette.
And you learn to do the Canadian national anthem in French.
Yeah. I'm from the West, BC originally, so we learned only like the 2 lines in French, not the whole thing.
You didn't have to learn the whole thing?
I didn't have to learn the whole thing in French. We just learned the 2 lines.
Oh, I thought our French was bad. I'm sorry.
It sucks out west because they're like, when are you ever gonna go halfway across the country?
Yeah,
I'm also from a really small town, so like.
Yeah, we actually have what's it called? There are in Ontario, and then going towards like the East Coast, there are entire communities that only speak French, right? And then it also attached to it, like I'm in Ontario, which is somewhat central, but then the next biggest province over is Quebec.
Yeah.
So we did go into Quebec. That was our school trips. If you ever did school trips, our school trips were to Quebec.
Or if you've
never been.
If you were rebellious, once you turned 18, you'd go across the border to Quebec to get beer from.
Oh, when my baby brother turned 18, me and my older sister, he turned 18. We took him to Quebec to go to strip clubs. We're like, let's go! It's time.
We did that, but with Alberta.
So now I've got a question kind of for both of you, which is, with a lot of the TTRPG stuff, I'd imagine you're interacting with Americans more than you would if you weren't doing the TTRPG stuff. So is there? I'm gonna say, what's the most annoying part of dealing with Americans online?
I don't know if there's a consistent thing. I mean, just not knowing Canada exists. Like, honestly, just a lot of
having to convert to Fahrenheit for me.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah. Because I know it's 13 degrees outside. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit.
I have no idea. Could not tell you.
I cannot tell you how frustrating it is to wake up and go, baby, what's the weather? And it's 10. Like, what the fuck? fuck? No, it can't. It can't be.
It's about, I want to say it's 13 degrees, which is about 62?
It's 57 degrees.
57. Okay. I was close. I was off by 5.
Where Shiny goes, I mean, sure, you say Canada is there. I haven't seen it, so. USA! USA! No, I wish I was Canadian.
Oh no, the enthusiasm and then the sadness.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Anita will tell me stories about going to the doctor that I just don't believe. Like, so yeah, I walked in, they took care of me, and then I walked out. And I'm like, but what's the rest of the story?
I mean, I gotta pay for my prescription drugs, and usually those are kind of expensive.
Don't you talk to me about expense.
Yeah. Like Canada, like let's be. I think sometimes Canada gets like, you know, posted up as like this perfect child. It's kind of like the model minority, right? Where it's like, oh, you're the good ones. The amount of damaging history, the amount of still happening harm to communities, Indigenous folks especially here, is horrific. But hundo P, the amount of times I also am like, I don't know how unbelievably lucky. I never realized how unbelievably lucky I was to have like the healthcare system and stuff like that. And I say that as hey y'all, in Ontario, there's more places in Canada that are trying to swing
To
right.
privatization.
There are more places that are trying to privatize. There are more places that, and so like, hey, if you ever hear anything about that, shut that. Shut it down. Shut it down. Don't allow that. Like the whole, like exactly what you're saying, where you're like, that's the best thing. When I think of all the things in Canada, the number one thing I think of is the healthcare. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like that's more places need it, more places deserve it. And I didn't realize how lucky I was, because when I was a kid, I was a little terror, and I would climb things and I would climb trees and fall out of trees. I broke limbs. I did so much damage to myself and my body, and I ended up in the emergency room so many times, and I had no appreciation until I was an adult how bad that would have been. Like how lucky I was that, you know, no questions asked, no concern. I was always just immediately helped.
Yeah.
And there was no worry of what that meant. And it wasn't until like I was a little older and I did something ridiculous, and my dad was like, I can't even reiterate because it was half not in English. But you know, he was like, if I had done this, my dad would have broken the other arm to like teach me a lesson to never do it again. And I was like, why? Like I didn't comprehend how lucky I was.
Yeah.
Like, and so now I'm like, holy crap. If it wasn't for that, and like my roommate, I've talked about this a little bit, but I don't like bring it down. They have been in multiple really bad accidents, and last year they had to start learning how to walk again because they got completely, you know, they walk with a cane now. So we had to relearn all of that. We had to do that, and it made me so much more aware of accessibility. It made me so much more aware of, you know, how lucky it is that the only thing we had to pay for, you know, we had to pay $40 for like the crutches. We had to pay, you know, $50 for a special, for a specialty cast. But everything else was, you know what I mean? Anything essential was covered.
That's wild. The only other sticking point and the only other thing I was going to bring up is Anita is dead set that Canada has the best poutine, and I am on a quest to find poutine in Chicago. That
there's enough expats here. Someone's gotta have a poutine truck.
Yeah, I'm sure you can find something.
Yeah, but Anita's talking about McDonald's has poutine.
McDonald's
that's
poutine
better.
slaps.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's really good.
Do y'all have Harvey's out there?
We do not have Harvey's.
Oh, I think that might be an Ontario thing then.
Harvey's is
like
Harvey's is in Alberta in like the western provinces, but not here in Chicago.
Okay, Harvey's is a fast food joint. So like it was one of the ones that like growing up I was like, do Americans have this one or no? I don't know. But it's like, you know, a slightly superior McDonald's. Like it's a slightly higher quality like McDonald's and stuff like that. And they make a fantastic, cheap, fast, ready poutine. Like
yeah.
And the gravy is vegetarian.
I like it. I liken it to if Subway was actually like a little bit upscale, but for burgers. Because like
so
you can
those.
like they actually like top your burger as you watch them.
Yeah. You stand there in front of the person and you're like, oh, I want some of those pickles, less pickles. Oh, I want, you know, they'll address it as you go. And they're like,
So it's the Chipotle of burgers?
Yeah.
Huh.
But it's been around for a very long time. Like that's once again, bringing it back to my dad, not speaking English when he came here when he was a teenager. One of his first jobs was just prep, like doing prep at a Harvey's. So they've been here since, you know, redacted, like a very long time.
Jess, we're gonna have to do Harvey's makes your hamburger.
A real thing. I can't remember.
Thing.
A beautiful thing. I was like, it's a something. It's a da-da-da-da. I was like, it's one of those things where I'm like, I can hear
a beautiful thing.
A beautiful thing. There it is.
Apparently, it's in every province except BC.
Oh.
Yeah, I didn't have Harvey's until I moved to Alberta.
You know,
and
I didn't know that.
I'm actually a huge fan of Harvey's.
That's fair. Once again, it's probably due to the fact that like my dad loved it because it was one of his first jobs here was that he got to just do the prep cup. And my mom always complains because she's like, your dad would be in the back, he'd be prepping stuff, and then he'd come out and try and kiss me smelling like onions and pickles.
Those pickles are good though. The pickles are like the only thing that I really like on the menu.
The pickles, like just get us if you ever go to Harvey's, just get a side of pickles. Yeah. Just get a side of pickles. It is a Canadian treasure.
They're like the good pickles.
Getting a side of pickles at Harvey's. Telling y'all now. They wrap them up separate. Yeah. They give you a whole little stack of pickles.
I gotta tell you though, like, because I'm gonna go to Canada at some point, and I really, really want to try Tim Hortons because I keep hearing about it. And it's
it was better.
It has downgraded significantly.
Every Canadian I talk to like mourns the old Tim Hortons.
If you want the coffee, you go. If you want the old Tim Hortons coffee, you go to McDonald's.
Yeah, that's true. They use the beans now.
They use because McDonald's bought up the bean supplier after Tim Hortons switched suppliers.
So can I ask, what's the big TTRPG convention in Canada? Because I know we've got Gen Con,
Breakout,
Big Bad Con, and okay.
Breakout in Toronto is one of the big ones. There's another. It's the sort of thing where I'm really bad with names. There's a few that I know. The truth is that a lot of folks I know just go across the border, go right down because a lot of Canada. Hi, fun fact: Canada is the second largest country by landmass, so it's like it's ginormous. But the vast majority of the population just lives down on the border because you go up and it becomes harder and harder to live.
Ice cold. Yeah. So,
if we ever get to Calgary, I'm gonna take you to Century Box, which is the largest game store in North America.
Ooh.
Still not better than Geeky Teas.
Geeky Teas is great. I will say Geeky Teas is real good.
All right, so we're an hour in, so there are some questions that we always ask on the front half, so we're going to start to get to it. The first of, and this is a question that could potentially break my heart, so here we go. Just there is a war in the TTRPG community between individuals who feel that these little guys are forbidden candies and that you should put them in your mouth and crunch on them. And then there are those of us who feel like these are just tools to help tell a story and that you should not put them in your mouth. They are a hazard to your teeth. They are a choking hazard, so you should not crunch the dice. But there are those that live to crunch dice. So, Jess, I have to ask you, what is your stance on this topic. Do you side with Stop the Crotch, or are you a crotcher, or are you a coward who decides not to take a side and goes crotch responsibly?
It sounds like it's a little more extreme to either side than I am aware. Like, I'm trying to, like, I've definitely heard some of the arguments both ways, and I would be curious because people talk about this so much. Like, this comes up. I know I've seen it a few times, but I'm trying to think. Like, I am someone that feels like there is niche in a lot of conversations. There is like stuff in a lot of conversations. So I would like to know, like, in just a few points, specifically, what are you leaning towards? Like, what do you mean when you?
So there are edible dice, right? Made out of cow. What are you doing? No! Just stop!
I love that Fawn's energy is like, hi, long time viewer, first time caller.
No! I've been wounded. How could you come here and do this right in front of my face? Right in front of my salad?
I washed these dice this morning just for
the bit. This is actually the second time that's happened in a row.
Yes.
Am I making the thing that I hate if I'm turning people into crotchers?
You're turning people into crotchers.
You might be polarizing people to the point that they have no choice but to crunch.
No, there's a better way. We don't have to do this.
I can't say that I on a regular put my dice in my mouth. I won't lie, because I can't say that. That would be a lie, and I don't want to be a liar. And we do have this famous, very important song in Canada. It's called "Don't You Put It in Your Mouth."
Put it in your mouth.
Until you ask someone you love if it's okay to eat, like a muffin or a beet. If you don't know what it is, don't put it in your mouth. But
you know what dice are.
I know what dice are. And, I...
Flip this table. It's so... Fuck.
I think there should be more edible dice. I think there should be more edible dice because, dice look... so many people love dice because they look fantastic. Let's be real. They look so good. They're so pretty.
Like buy dice. They're beautiful. Look at these.
Yeah, some of them just look pretty to look at. Some of them look like freaking candy. Some of them. So I do think there should be more edible dice, whether it's like, like those Lego, like either like those Lego candies or like those like gummies, or like there should be more dice. And I don't put my dice in my mouth on a regular, but will I do literally anything for a gag? Yes. Yes. Anything for a gag, for the lulz? Yes.
The Sistine Chapel is gorgeous. I never once climbed to the roof to put the artwork in my mouth. What's wrong with you people?
But that's an endeavor. These are right here. I have them. Look, they're literally fresh and clean. They're sitting in a nice napkin bath, like where they just got. They look so good. Look at them. They have like little things in them. They have like little. I don't know. I think they're good. They're good. That's nice.
Well, now
open up tabletop sim so Noir can flip the table.
Now I have no choice but to ask you the punishment question that follows when people reveal themselves as crotchets. You get to play with any 5 people that are alive right now. You get to choose who's the GM. You don't count towards the 5, and you choose what game you're playing. What does this table look like? Who's there, and what are you playing, and who's the GM? See, Rashadi?
I talked about this. I'm just going to say Janelle Monáe, just because Janelle Monáe's been on my mind, and now I want to... I'm going to use this as an excuse. You just gave me a magical opportunity to hang out with literally anyone, anywhere, and I know from a fact of watching that they put on a great party. I literally, we all just saw it. And listen, if it starts as a game and then turns into a party, a dance party, then I'm in the end, they had a freaking Valerian onesie at the end. So I know they're a nerd. That's it. That's it for me. That's all that's on my mind. I've told you this. I am Neurospice, and I am all ass or no ass. So I have one thing screaming, running around my brain at all times, and then like, no, more seriously, if I could have literally
Janelle would be amazing at the table.
I know, right?
Just the stories they tell, their music, just and then that party was so horny.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely there. And then I don't know, I'm really torn between like there are obviously some big names who like I am absolutely in love. Like Dimension 20 has been my go-to for a lot of the stories lately, and Brennan is such a fantastic storyteller. Aberia, oh my god. But then I also go back to like, what if I have this magical opportunity to play anyone with anyone, would I just want like a group of friends to get together? Because in person, that's magic to me. That's not only when you play things online, you end up falling in love with people all over the world. And all the best people in my life are all over the world. They're all spaced out. So if I could just magically boop people into a room, it would probably just be 5 friends playing something soft and sweet and cute. And you know what? It would probably be a weekend away, like at like a cabin in the woods, and then a mix of like cute, comfy games, and then really spooky. So like, maybe do some like Wander Home. I don't know if y'all have seen the new, oh my gosh. Oh goodness, it's by the same creator, and it's like the bed and the home for
Yazeba's Bed and Breakfast.
Yazeba's Bed and Breakfast. That one looks so fun. And then it would be, like maybe some 10 candles in the evening.
I mean, if you just want to do a weekend of J Dragon games, you could do Wander Home, Sleepaway Camp, which is a horror one as well.
Oh, Sleepaway Camp's good. I've done
And
that
Yazeba's.
one. Yeah, Yazeba's. And and then do something like more dramatic, like Dread. And
that's good.
I really, really, really love one of my all-time favorite games of all time, and I will shout it out from the heavens, is Starcrossed. And it's only 2 people, but it tells like the best freaking stories. And all my favorite stories that I've ever like played and told and stuff like that have been from Starcrossed, because it is such a beautiful, dramatic story engine. Where if you've ever played it, plays like Dread, you play with a Jenga tower, and every time something like you have to reveal a secret or something like that, you have to pull a brick from the tower. And as it gets more like wobbly, every time you talk in character, every time you like play, you have to put your hand on the tower. So this thing is wobbling and you're scared it's going to fall, and you're like revealing deep, deep secrets and you're like, I can't tell this person that I love them, but I'm like, I don't know what to do. And God, and the whole thing is so dramatic, because you're like, I don't want to knock over this tower, because if you knock it over too soon, you have to act on your feelings. And if you haven't spent enough time setting up the relationship, then there's a chance that the relationship will fail. So you're like, no, I need more time. I need more time. Like, it's so good. Yeah.
Like, you've made me like really want to consider doing like a TTRPG summer camp, which is just like a weekend in like a national park with a cabin with just a group of friends playing TTRPGs. That'd be so fucking lit.
That would be so lit.
That's honestly like a freaking dream, to just get to have. Yeah, like you're saying, like a little weekend away, a little cabin in the woods, a little camping, or like in a park, in a space, in something nice, and get to play a bunch of different little games. I think that is so cool. And I actually have been lucky enough to get to play a few times where we played an ongoing story, but played it through several different games. So you get to take the same characters and you build them, and you might start them, in Monster of the Week, but then those same characters, they like grow up a little bit, and you put them into Sleepaway, like you said, and now they're in a cursed summer camp, like doing something, and then they go on to have to live out some like dark, scary event in Dread, or so I've gotten to do that, and it's so much fun.
Where they're like interconnected campaigns and different systems.
Yeah,
that's so cool.
Oh,
it's so good.
That's all I want to do now. Like, how terribly expensive would that be? Anyway. God, this is why I want to be a Nepo baby.
Yeah.
With the trust fund.
Yeah, this is just the creative freedom to get to do this stuff. Because anytime, like I've done that a few times, and it's always been off air. I've never been able to like share that because the production cost of like and the prep time. Like this is something that we had to do where we had to give people the time and space. So we would sometimes play, a few times, and then we would not play again for a few months. Like, and then we would get back together and do it again. And it really requires someone has to, every time we did it, one person would take on the new system, right? Because it's so much time and effort to learn a new system.
Yeah.
So as long as one person has to be at the forefront of every game, like I want to do this game, so I'm gonna facilitate this one. And so it takes that kind of willingness to, and like a team of people all willing to take it on, which is a lot. And honestly, if it was a show, the amount of like pay people would deserve for their time and effort is so far beyond anything I've ever had to give
alone.
But it can be done, though. It can be done. I'm thinking about
dream.
I mean, this kind of leads into the next question,
which is,
if you were God Emperor of the TTRPG space for 24 hours, and you could make any 3 things happen, what would it be?
Pay people to do their dream projects. There's so many people out there making so much cool stuff, or with great cool ideas, or like just having people have the time, the effort, the support, the money, the like to do stuff. That's what I fantasize. Like that's nothing is sexier to me than people getting to live their creative dreams. Like I don't know. That's all I want. Because like I don't think it's fair to assume that any rule, any like one thing will work for everyone, because people are incredibly varied. People are, the world is a varietal place of varietal experiences, and people want and do different things, and you need to leave room for that. Yeah. And so rather just supporting people to do what they want to do. And in particular, I want to see the people I don't see. I want to see the faces I never get to see. I want to hear the voices uplifted that I never get to hear enough of. That's what I freaking want. Because anytime that has happened, that is where we have gotten some of the most interesting, a lot of people being like, oh my God, I had never seen this before. I never heard this before. I had never considered that before. It's because those people and voices don't get lifted up enough, and like they never get the opportunities. Instead, it's the same few people doing the same stuff over and over again, and it's repetitious and it's boring.
Yeah. I think that's also led to a lot of the division that we've kind of seen in the space as well, which is like we keep hearing the same handful of voices, and we see them kind of like at the forefront of literally everything, and it's like I'd imagine that kind of makes it. I imagine that kind of makes some people feel like there's not enough space, there's not enough opportunity out there. So, but what I'm learning from a lot of folks is if you feel that there isn't a door being open for you, make your own, which is easier said than done. But
yeah, that's the thing, right? I'm definitely still very happy with some of the opportunities I've had and some of the opportunities I've been able to give out. But I also look back on a time where I had more of the emotional battery, more of the mental fortitude to push through and do more. And I don't have it anymore. And like, it's too bad, because I look back on some stuff and I still get, because of my time in my own space, on my own channel, doing my own show of Indie Spotlight, where I got to do just any interesting new small game that was out there with anyone who was interested in doing it, but making sure it was, once again, as rich and full as the space actually is, which is very important to stories and stuff like that. But I look back on them, like I have videos on YouTube and I'm like, oh God, my production skills were so bad back then. I'm like, oh God, it's so hard to look back on And I'm like, I wish I had the skills then that I do now, or that I had the battery now that I had then. Because like, I wish those two things could overlap because I could do them so much better. But even as it is, I still have occasionally some indie game designers have reached out to me and been like, thank you for doing that. That's one of the only actual plays of my game in existence. Thank you for, getting these amazing people together to tell this story. I, had never seen my game played in this way. I've had so many people. There are a few games on itch.io where the example game is my game because it's the only one that, it was the only time it had gotten played and recorded and shared and stuff like that. And so I had so many indie designers be like, oh my God, can I put that on my itch.io because it's the only example of my game? And I was like, yes, absolutely. I only wish I could make it better. Like I only wish that, I could make it even better and that I could do more because there's so many amazing games out there. And there's so many people using games to tell great stories or to create great storytelling engines or inventing these mechanics that we haven't seen yet in any other games. Like, oh my God, I hadn't thought of, doing that in that way. Like there's so much cool stuff like that. And we don't often get to see it until someone is lucky enough that a big name picks it up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh boy, there's just hearing this has kind of inspired me to want to like do more on my own as well. Just holy crap! But we are coming up close to an hour and 30. So how do we feel about going and taking a quick break to be human for a bit, and then we'll come back for the dark roast, which is just the same. It's the same as before. We just give it a name.
Yeah. Perfect. I just need more coffee.
Yeah,
all right. Too. We're going to go refresh our drinks. We're going to do human things. Y'all should do the same. We will be back in about 10 minutes. We'll see you soon. Hello, and welcome back, everybody, to the second half, affectionately titled The Dark Roast. But really, we might just talk about butts this whole time.
I mean, who doesn't like talking about butts?
That is the cutest shit ever.
This is my trans pride frog, and he do got a little booty.
Look at the booty though.
Shakes.
Got a little donk.
You like to shake it. I keep him around all the time.
I was gonna grab my stuffed animal, but I dropped it, so I'm gonna pretend that I didn't.
I got a goat. My goat! I dropped the goat. I got a goat.
We're professionals.
We are professionals. I got a goat. It's got a booty. Little goat booty.
Little goat booty.
And I got a cat that is also a cat that is a skull.
I love the flippy, reversey ones. I know some folks that, like, my sister literally talks about with her partner. Sometimes she has a few of those, and every once in a while, she was like, why is everyone grumpy today? Because, like, on the slide, they'll just, like, flip them all. They're like, everyone's grumpy today. Like, everyone's...
No, I use that as my indicator for how to approach Anita. When it's the angry mode, I retreat.
You stay clear. Or you get me candy.
This is also true. Mm-hmm. So we've kind of talked about how you started and what you've been up to. I'm kind of curious as to what you would like to do in the future. Like, do you have any big plans, any big projects, or do you have just in your mind, if everything went your way, what would you like to be doing in the next coming year or two?
I feel a bit like a broken record. I feel a bit repetitious, but I like, the biggest thing is I do wish I could get people paid to do cool stuff. Like, that is my biggest thing, that I wish there was the resources and that I could use them to, manage some really cool projects and produce some really cool stuff. Cause like I was saying, before break, I think there's so many ways that you don't even realize how good stuff like that can be, like producing indie content with, a cast where You got a mix of like the new and the old. So you have a few different faces, a few different voices, really getting a chance to shine, where you have a new game system that enough people haven't seen yet. And so you're getting a chance to highlight and promote that. You're getting to acknowledge and pay people for their time, which is a freaking precedent I always want to set. It's actually one of the reasons why I have done less stuff, is I've had some times where people have approached me and I'm like, I'm no longer comfortable doing large scale productions unless I can pay people for their time. Yeah. So there's a lot of times where I've had to turn down opportunities where I'm like, this is interesting. I'm interested in it, but the time and effort I know this will take, I would need to ask a lot of others, and I'm not comfortable asking a lot of others. Yeah. Unless it is either like a charity event, or it is I can pay people sufficiently for their time. Yeah. So 100%, that is one. And like I said, that it means so much. Like when you do stuff like that, the indie game designers are all like, holy crap, also like, thank you for playing my game. You have no idea how much like people get so excited to see people play their games.
Yeah. So, I mean, in order to accomplish that, you have to reach out to companies to like get sponsorships and to convince them to give you the dollars to pay your cast. How have you gone about doing that? Like, how did you gain the experience in doing that? Like, how, if you don't mind my asking.
No, you're fine. I do have some like pre-done example. I mean, like if when you're doing stuff, that is something that I think a lot of people miss out on. And if you do get into, whether it is GMing for shows, producing shows, acting in shows, whatever it is, making games, whatever it is, starting to record your successes, record examples of your work. It's very hard to go back and get stuff once it's like gone. So starting to make that, like, it's a small little thing. Start to make notes, start to keep records, start to do stuff, and then put all that together into different documents. So I have a mix of just text documents of information with links and URLs and stuff like that. And then I have some more visually appealing stuff where like once you've taken that information, you put it into like little kits, little press kits, little PR kits. I have some pitch decks, which are for like pitching an idea, that have gotten me some opportunities in the past where I'm like, hey, here's this fully put together pitch deck of what I would like to do and what I would like to see and what kind of support I would need. So having that sort of stuff, having like a base layer, a foundation of stuff handy is always a good idea. Just keeping and if you see something you like, if you see something that someone's done, bookmark it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like bookmark it so you can be like, oh, this is, the kind of thing like I need to do, and then start crafting your own. Don't ever freaking just steal someone else's work. Don't be that kid stealing other people's homework and you didn't even change the words. Come on, like use it as inspiration. We're all here like learning and growing. So use it as inspiration, as a starting point, as a kickoff to inspire you to then go and make those things, and then keep them. Keep a few copies of what you've done, and then every time you come back to it, you can be like, "Ooh, I can see where I can improve that. Let me go ahead and fix that. Let me do like a little bit more." And be supportive of others. Like don't just do stuff to get stuff. It's so apparent. Yeah. Be actually there, actually involved, actually supportive. Find people doing stuff that you enjoy and you appreciate, and then be vocal and supportive and help uplift, because we all are here. We're in it together. Like you said earlier, like it's hard to not feel like we're all competing. Yeah. Sometimes our brains, our lizard brains, they go to the bad places first. Sometimes, like that's the case for everyone. Sometimes your brain is gonna go to the worst case scenario immediately, and that sucks. Or it's gonna get hurt, or it's gonna get scared. Those are very natural feelings, and you're not wrong to feel them. Those are feelings, but it's how you then take that and what you do with it, right? So it's understandable to be like, like, oh gosh, I wish I could do something like that. Or like, oh, I'm sad that I haven't gotten to do anything yet, or that it's understandable to feel that way, but then realize no one's doing anything to hold you down. Like no one is trying to do that. We're all working together, and it would benefit all of us to uplift the space and to uplift each other and to find these opportunities. And the more we can create opportunities, the more you can create something where, hey, I did get this opportunity, I do get this sponsorship, the more you can hold it up to more people and be like, hey, look at this example of this success, this example of where it worked. Look at this, you know, amazing result. Look at the wonderful feedback it received. We could do this too. We could, you know, this is a chance. And so it's hard. And I get feeling those feelings. And that's, you're not a bad person for feeling things, but take it and be a force for good. Like take it and, you know, like,
Lucha and Lattes just said, gotta help others up instead of kicking down the ladder after you get up. And I'll take that a step further to say, if you kick down the ladder after you get up top, you don't no longer have a safe escape back down to the bottom if it comes to that.
I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to kind of double back to something you said before with just like, I've seen people try to help others by going like, this is the template I use so that folks can learn how to do that. And I have seen instances where they just kind of erase a name and just slap theirs on there. And that is a little bit more prevalent than we let on in the space. It's just, if somebody's helping you, like, don't screw them. Like, don't screw them over, because that's what that's doing. So no, I appreciate you bringing that up. That is very important.
Yeah, and shout other people out. And if you do use a resource, say it. Like say where you found it. Say where you got it. Like, I got this from here. I did this from there. I had to correct myself earlier because I said something about like safety tools. I was like, oh, we're making these safety tools. I was like, wait, no, gotta take that back. That was wrong. I didn't make any safety tools. I, use safety tools that other amazing people have created. The wonderful, amazing Kiana Shaw and Lauren Bryant Monk have put together the TTRPG safety toolkit that is in itself a collection of other people's tools, in which they make a point of being like, here are all the tools. Here's where they come from. Here's who created them and how. Like, and then it's a collection that, everyone can use. And, they themselves 100% deserve uplifting and shouting out for what they have done. But they also make sure to shout out everyone who created something that they are using and suggesting and supporting and stuff like that. And that's a really good, to me, example in the space of a few steps of that. Like, it might seem convoluted because you are shouting at the people that put together the kit, and then there's also everyone within the kit. But it's the truth. It's who did it. It's what deserves recognition. Like when I talked earlier about how I am very happy every once in a while I see stuff that me and B Zelda created, and I see it in this space, and every once in a while I'm a little like, our names were taken off of it. Like it's a little bit disappointing that.
Cite your sources.
Something. Yeah, it's a little bit disappointing that we never get recognition for that. But I've had games where I went into the game and they're like, we've got this great tool, sent me the thing I made, and I'm like,
I've had that happen to me too.
Yeah, right. And it's a little disappointing, but at the same time, I'm glad people are using the resource. I do wish people were better about acknowledging where they got things from. So I'm happy to see things helping people. And I know for a fact that that tool's not going out to any big money makers. Tools aren't going out to someone who's, going to use and abuse it's people using it for a good cause. So I'm never mad, but sometimes I'm a little disappointed. I'm a little I would love more recognition. And you said it earlier too, producers often are an example of people doing a lot of work behind the scenes, and they often don't. I've had one show that consistently shouts me out for my work. I've done so many series and shows, work for companies, this and that. And I've had one that has consistently uplifted me and been like, you know, Fawn does amazing work. Like Fawn, like this show wouldn't be what it is. Like that sort of stuff. And I'm like, this is, I'm not used to it. Like,
Shout out your producers behind the scenes. Thank them.
You would think, but it doesn't happen nearly as much as it should. I was actually part of a show that had an IMDb, and for the seasons where I was working as the producer for the IMDb, I was not credited. And when I pointed that out, they restructured the contract. So it was part of the contract that I would not be credited.
Excuse? In the year, oh my God. And that's still, it's so infuriating. It's so...
It was like, oh okay. But you know, it's just, there's a lot of room for this space to grow, for sure. But you know, I do believe that for the most part, the people here are good. Like we want to tell stories. We want to give people the chance to be things that they don't normally get to be in their day-to-day life. That's kind of the magic of what we do. So like, when you start to inject business into things that people are passionate about, that's when things can turn a little skeevy.
Yeah. And it's hard because, like, and I know for me, and I know, sorry, were you still?
Oh, no, I was just going to say, because some people lose their mind the moment dollars and cents get introduced to things.
Yeah.
That's all.
Sorry.
Anita, did you have something?
Oh, no, I'm good. You can... It's a thing. It's a whole thing.
Yeah. That's a lot of my feeling too. It's just like, like just crumple up and just, it can be really hard to find the right words, because as we were talking earlier, there is a lot of nuance and a lot of things. And so it's so tricky because, like, on the one hand, I'm like 100% get that money, make money. People deserve to be paid for their time and their effort. But then it's such a awkward juggle between how to do that safely and comfortably without ethically, exactly, without using people, without stepping over people, without like making sure you credit everyone, like we were just talking about. Like, are you doing all of that? And like, it's hard to do, especially if it's only one person, two people, three, and there is so much work that I think doesn't always get seen and doesn't always get noticed and always doesn't always get acknowledged.
Yeah.
It is hard work to do it and do it properly. And I don't have an exact answer, or I would have already been doing it, making the big money and paying people for their time like I want to. But instead, like, I know myself and I know some other people that have just stepped back.
Yeah.
Because if I can't do it responsibly, if I can't pay people for their time, if I can't fully do things as well, as safely, as responsibly as possible, then I am going to step back and slow down.
You know, I have seen that people are starting to take to crowdfunding sites in order to accomplish bringing out productions that they really want to do and to pay their cast, which I think is a pretty neat trend. I hope that it goes well. You know, the thing with stuff like that is it only takes one person to kind of break the trust of the space. So, you know, but I'm really hoping that we continue to look for ways to bring out these productions in a way where we can take care of everybody. I think this is a good trend, and I think it's important that we care. It's really easy to just kind of roll your eyes and go, well, it is what it is. But trying to make that change is how things change. But but that's just my thoughts on the matter.
No, it's like you said earlier, like we were talking earlier about like how much have you seen things change? How much have you like, are you in agreement with change? Are you like feeling like it's good? Is it bad? Things are gonna change. That's how life and time work. Like things are going to move and change and adjust, and you need to also move and change and adjust. And hopefully what comes along with that is learning and growth and, you know, understanding and willingness to be open and realize where you went wrong and realize where you can improve and help, you know, do that work for yourself and hopefully also help others to do so. Like,
heck yeah.
Actually, can I say,
can't change things by sitting on my ass and shouting at folks from the back of the class? Damn. I love Sphinx.
Sphinx, you're good.
You're a good one. But you're about to say something. I'm so sorry I interrupted.
No, I want to shout out Sphinx now. Sphinx is in so many spaces doing nothing but being uplifting and supportive.
Yes,
doing
absolutely.
nothing but.
So I make the joke that, you know how we all say we just pass around that same $20? That $20 probably came from Sphinx.
It's like freaking true.
Sphinx is like the bedrock of this space, and I will shout it to the rooftops as many times as I can. I will just show up to APs that I've been interested in, and I just haven't had the time. And Sphinx will be there, and I'm like, you goddamn right. You goddamn right.
And he's such a fabulous performer too.
Yeah.
Seriously! We need this man in front of the camera more often. He's so good, and he's got a voice like velvet chocolate. Characters never say anything until it's like the perfect time. And
what I was gonna say.
Every god, like.
I 100% like on the rare wonderful occasions I've gotten to have Sphinx like in a game on a show. He's sitting there silently crafting, I swear to God. And then it comes up and it's like just this one perfect line comes out. And I'm like, you were just prepping that. You were just like cooking it. Like,
let him cook.
It's so good. It's because, you know, he'll be quiet for a little bit and you're just like, oh no, like, am I talking too much? Am I not engaging? And then just out of fucking nowhere, just the thing that needed to be said is said in such a perfect way that it just shakes the foundation of the game.
And it's either like heart-wrenching or hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so good every time. Shout out to Sphinx. If you're not following Sphinx on all the things, fix it! Don't follow me. Follow Sphinx.
Also, welcome in Raiders from Just Dork Teacher. Hi, Bo. It's good to see you.
Oh, hey, Bo.
Also, Sphinx, where's your game tonight? Let's shout it out.
Yeah. Here. Oh, that's where you're playing games. I want to hear.
I was like, Sphinx on yet.
Over on the Emirates Roleplay? Hell yeah.
There's so many channels. Like you want to feel old in the TTRPG space? Just look back on some of the channels you've participated in, and it's just like, oof, boy.
Yeah, and that's why I said, you know, that's why I said earlier. And when you bring up like, what are things you can do? Start keeping track of that. Keep track of where you've been. Keep a clip from every show you've been in. Keep an example of like, if you got any analytics you want to use, if you got to like talk on anything or do anything, like note it down, put it down. Because that's all stuff you can use. Have a streamer
resume. It's really important. Like if you've been interviewed, if you've been quoted by a website, a magazine, or anything like that, keep a track of all the people that you've played with. I have a personal one and I have a business one. My business one is like, that's the one that I'll send to people. This is where I've been. My personal one is just like, here's who I enjoyed playing with, and here's who I'll probably not sit at a table with. But you have to do that for your own sanity. It's not that. Listen, you're not gonna agree. You're not gonna get along with everybody that you sit at a table with. That's just part and partial. Like some personalities just don't mix. And there's nothing wrong with going. I probably don't want to be at that table if that person's at the table. It's nothing personal. It's not offensive. It's just protecting yourself because
chemistry is important.
In this space, you have to protect yourself.
Yeah,
I
and
can't stress that enough.
100%. And if you're producing, check in with your crew, check in with people, especially if you're doing, like, I think a tricky thing that people miss sometimes is that, like, if you are running a special event, if you're running a special event or you're running a fundraiser with a lot of different games, if you're running community games, if you're running stuff like that, you still need to be careful, like still do the work before you bring everyone together in a room, before you force them to be at a table, check in and be like, okay, here's the cast we're considering. Is this cool? And then remembering the fact that like you were saying, sometimes you're just not going to vibe with people. Not everything has to be a full hateful call out. Like sometimes sometimes you don't vibe with people. Sometimes you don't mesh. Sometimes like someone's not a terrible person, but you just got stuff that doesn't go. Yeah. So leaving the space for that to be all like, okay, well, this isn't my jam. We don't vibe. I don't necessarily want to play with this person. And it's possible to not like and not support someone without making it a whole thing. A whole thing.
It doesn't. You don't have to go to 10 immediately. There are numbers in between 0 and 10.
Nikki, that is an excellent point. Having tech producers fill out the RPG consent forms because they can't leave, so their lines and veils need to be respected as well. And make sure that you, like, just as important to do like player check-ins and GM check-ins, do producer check-ins. Like, hey, there were some pretty heavy scenes that were happening during this. Are you okay too? You were here for the whole thing.
Heck yeah.
Not for me, it's not objectively bad.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. That's something that I feel like happens an unfortunate amount is people equate one with the other, but like Luchan Latte said, not for me is not objectively bad. Some people are like, some people literally go, I didn't like theirs, therefore it is bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't have a good time, so nobody's gonna have a good time.
That is the case with games, movies, books, people, like media of all kind. Like sometimes people will go like, I didn't like this, therefore it's horrible. And like, you don't have to vibe with everything and you don't have to vibe with everyone. Just because, a game wasn't for you, a story wasn't for you, a thing wasn't for you, doesn't mean it isn't for someone.
Right. And you should root for people to find their group. Like, I found plenty of people that, I didn't personally enjoy playing with, but then I've seen them find their right fit and I enjoy what they put out. Like, you don't have to be bitter.
You can just be better.
Put it on a shirt. So now we've come to a part in our dark roast that I like to call TTRPG confessionals. If there is a habit that you have at the table that you think you could be a little bit better at, like you think, this isn't my best tendency, and this is where you call that out. And of course, I will model the behavior by doing my TTRPG confessional first. I don't give myself the proper amount of rest. I will deny burnout for far longer than I should, and so sometimes I don't come to the table in the best headspace, which I need to get better at. So that's my confessional. That's something that I'm working on. I pretty much took this week to just kind of lay low and just give myself me time, which, you know, as a freelancer, it's a little hard to do because there's always that, you know, I should be writing for this project. I should be writing for this project. I should be editing this. I should be doing that. I should be da 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 da. This week, I just sat and TikToked and played guitar and got exceptionally high. So, like, you know,
it's okay to take breaks.
Yeah, that is my TTRPG confession.
Can I argue with you for 1 second?
Sure, I'd love it.
It's not just okay to take breaks. It is productive to take breaks. It is like the value in it cannot like, and it's hard. Even as I say that, it sounds wrong and it feels wrong because like so much of our vernacular, so much of our mindset, so much of our wording comes from like a capitalist, like you must be producing, something must be productive to have value. But breaks can just have value, like just in that, like that's it. And it's even now I'm fiddling with like how to say it because like
no, you're absolutely right. Like it in fact, it's worse to put off rest in the long run. Like you're just gonna burn out twice as hard if you don't give yourself the the good time to break and just not. To just be yourself and not be it is okay to be not productive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I have a hard time accepting that of myself. Yeah. Like, if I see a friend of mine, like, clearly running on fumes, I'll tell them, take your goofy ass to bed. But I'll catch myself, like, doing one of these numbers at the computer, and it's just like, I should have been asleep 3 hours ago, but I really need to get this writing done. So it's just...
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, that is my TTRPG confession.
Yeah.
Your penance?
Yeah. Yes.
You will allow me to do take your goofy ass to bed.
And I have to accept it?
And you have to accept it.
You get one.
One? A week?
You get one a month.
A month?
I will negotiate for a month.
Bi-weekly. Twice a month.
But bi-weekly, but I only have to listen to one. I will acknowledge the other one. I can't promise I'll act on it. Deal?
Deal.
All right. Hey, Jess, do you have a penance for me, or would we like to see who else has a confession?
I like that a lot. I'm trying to think, like, what, like, a penance would be. I am a hypocrite. And the whole time this is being talked about, I have this, like, goofy smile on my face, because I know I'm guilty. Like, I freaking know it. But so coming from that perspective and that feeling of like I know I'm right there. I know I'm right there. I was waiting for Sphinx to call me out. Sphinx is often like
right on time.
I was waiting. But like for because I both want to give a penance, but I also like trying to be reasonable because I have the same
because you don't want to set up a standard you don't want to answer to.
Yeah.
That's why I was fighting so hard in the negotiations, because I know myself. That second, take your ass to bed, I'm like, I don't know that I can do that.
Yeah. So I think for the penance that I'm going to say to you, which is so hard for me.
I can see your antler shaking. That's how real this is.
It's so real. It's just that, like, you know, when you do it for others, when you call it out for others, when you support others to rest and take their breaks and do their stuff, stop and think about it for yourself.
Model the behavior you want to see.
I'm not even saying any. I'm just stop and think. Just stop and think about it. Just
You're
like
right.
have a little second where you like stop and, well, oh, gotta go stop and think for a second on this.
This is so hard.
I know, and I'm sorry. I hate it. I'm here and I'm in pain.
All right. I will reflect on when I give advice to other people that maybe I'm also saying words that I should heed for myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I will be in solitude for the next couple of months so I don't have to. No, I'm kidding. All right, no, that's fair. I will take this penance to heart. Anita, you get one, and I will keep in mind when I give advice.
I get
Anita.
2. You don't have to listen to the second.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot. You're gonna enjoy that, I can tell. Do either of you have a confession you would like to share and receive penance for?
Sometimes, when I ask my partner if they want to romance my character, sometimes I want to be a gremlin. But sometimes I'm just messing with you. This is mostly a call-out post. I gotta think something else.
You mind if I share that story real quick?
Go for it.
All right. So if you've watched enough Morning Ritual, you'll know that Anita has the tendency to, when they're in campaigns with me, they'll go, "Hey, would you like to romance my character?" And I'll go, "Sure." And then they'll introduce the character as like, I am a goblin raccoon with chainsaw arms with a garbage can as my armor. Romance me. And I'm like, what the fuck? So, me and Anita are in a Monsters of the Week game. And in Monsters of the Week, when you make your character, there are like little history things so you can have a bond to the other players in your party. And for my character, one of the history things that I can have that attaches me to another character is this other person in the party is an on-again, off-again romance. So I was just like, oh, I'm going to use this to romance Anita's character. But before Anita could make their raccoon gremlin with chainsaw arms, I beat them to the punch. I have been playing in the same setting since I was 15. And there is a character that I know Anita hates, literally with every cell of their body. His name is Gunther McHammer, and he is just he's a old school noir detective that is just like the worst parts of John Constantine and like the worst part of every Law and Order character that you've ever met. It's all like, hey Anita, this is the one. This is
my penance, is what this is.
That seems fair.
And the look of fury on their face when I did that was worth everything.
No, it's okay because I can commit to this. My muscle mommy loves Gunther so much.
It eats you inside, and I love it.
Yeah, that's exactly what AJ said when we were in Star Trek last night. It's AJ's like, this is your punishment for bringing the raccoon with chainsaw arms to every campaign that you want to romance noir in. Those were literally their exact words.
So enjoy that sweet, sweet, sweet Gunther McHammer.
It's just a Bridget Nelson Flavor Flav thing.
All right, but so I've given you enough time, Anita. Do you have a penance? Do you have a confession?
My confession is a lot of the times I will say that I will do the work to make my backstory, and then my ADHD will kick in, and I won't be able to get it done.
Mm-hmm.
But that is my neurospicy muscle mommy and gremlin man, and that's the image I saw in my head. Not wrong.
How about you, Jess? You have a TTRPG confession you'd like to make? It is.
Wait, are we doing penance?
Doing
Oh
penance
yes.
for me?
Yes. Oh, well, you've had this confession before.
I have.
But here, I'll give it to you again. You have to create a character that you'll use in your next campaign,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to have their backstory ready.
I'm working
5,
on
4,
it.
3, 2, 1.
I've got it opened. I've got it halfway made. I just need to like actually fill it out.
That's not that you have to fill it out.
It's being filled out. It's in the process. It's open right now. I just need to finish it.
When did you open up that document?
Yesterday.
So you had all yesterday to fill it out?
I got some of it done. I just got distracted.
But it's not done.
No.
So it has to be done by today.
Okay.
Do you have a penance, Jess?
I think that it's very understandable and relatable to have the neurospice not let you, be good at doing the thing. So I think my penance is just that you have to remember that done is better than perfect.
Ooh, okay.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Like
Thank you, Mid-Arm Black Halo. I am trying.
I'll make them no excuses.
Burnt out gifted kid with a praise king much reaction. Shut up.
Yeah, I get it. I know it, and I think a lot of people can relate. And just, and so letting yourself do what you can when you can, and remembering that having something, even if it's just bullet point form notes until you do feel fleshing it out or whatever, having something on the page, having what you need done, better than having it
all the way perfect.
Exact. Because our brains scream otherwise. It's it must be perfect or it must not be done at all. It's once again, it's that all ass or no ass,
And I'll always choose all ass. All right.
We whole ass or we no ass.
So there's only one confession left.
My issue is that I can't pick one. I am so guilty. I come to you here on my first day of confession, having not been to the confession booth in so long, and I know that I am guilty of much. And some of it I am sorry for, and some of it I'm not sorry for.
I respect that. You keep that energy. All right.
Yeah. Because I'm trying to think of I was oh no, I relate to so much of what is being said here. And yeah, mentalomia. Half-ass more. There needs to be more half-ass. I come at it from a place of all ass or no ass because that's how I ass. But
I can't half cheat this.
Oh god.
This needs double cheat. Double cheat.
It's hard. So God, shoot. I did have one. I had narrowed it down. Now I'm crap. Which one was my one? Which one was my confession?
This segment. I love this segment so much because it gets people thinking oh my god.
Which one is my one? Which one I do want to fix then. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we'll go on what I would like to do is I would like to allow myself the time and the space, but also will forward the full ass towards my my game production, which is because like something that I often leave to the side is my own independent writing, my own game writing, my own the things that I love and I do for me. I haven't done that in so long. I have so many things I have so many like little notes of like, oh my God, I love this. I really want to do it into something. And every time I like come back and I do a little something to it. But and I think it actually connects back also to the one you were saying earlier. Like if you had all the power, all the fortitude, all the time, all the money, what's something you would do? And it would be going back to my own game writing. And it would be going back to my own, like really recognizing and paying honor to the things that are most important, like to me and what I want to create and what I want to craft and what I want to see. But then also if it was the time and money and like thing, then I would be able to pay others to fill in where I lack, to be like, okay, here's what I want to do, but here's where someone else will be better at, like the graphic design, the like this and that, and having someone else come and having like the money and the resources and stuff like that to pay them. So if it comes to the confession though, I think it's like I stop myself. I stop myself so much. I am my own hindrance in a lot of cases. No one is stopping me from, like making that idea a thing. No one is stopping me from what I've called others out on here today, Your Honor, and like stopping me from like at least creating something as opposed to nothing. Right? Like no one is stopping me from at least taking those and making them into something, because in fact, all y'all out there that are interested in game design, are interested in that sort of stuff, are on itch.io. There is settings on itch.io to partially release things. There is settings on itch.io to, like put out what you have and then grow it and add to it, and like development documents. Like, yeah, there's entire like records where you can put something out, and then, if you come back into a week, if you come back to it in a month, if you come back to it in a year, you can be like, here's what I had, here's all the new docs, here's what I changed, like here's what I figured from either rereading through it or from playtesting it or from like whatever. And allowing your space, like itch.io literally has in its mechanics the space to let you grow. So let yourself grow and let yourself do it, and let yourself, put something out rather than nothing. Put something on the page.
I dig that. I like that. I like that.
I have a penance.
Oh God. Okay.
Just set a 15-minute timer.
And
just do what you want in 15 minutes. If you want to work more after that, great. If not, you can shelve it for. You can do anything for 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I would say for your next game that you're designing, I'd love to see a quick start guide. I'd like to see you work on a quick start guide just so it could be introduced. I feel like that is an easier barrier to entry than just trying to complete the whole thing. And yeah, that is my penance, is to just kind of like, don't aim for the bullseye off the first shot. Which is also advice that I need to take. So thanks for that. I'm developing my first game, and you can show it.
Little sneaky.
Oh
peek.
yeah.
Okay, so this is called Head of the Table. There's different cards.
That looks so good.
I printed and cut them out, and we rounded the corners.
It's like fancy cardstock and everything.
Yeah.
Anita made this idea real.
Cards. So there's art.
Those look so good.
So the idea is that you play it in phases, like a plot map, like how there's inciting incident, rising action, climax, falling action, and then your resolution. And there are prompts on each of the cards for each phase. And the idea is that you get to pitch and world build a game. By the time you're done, you will have the backstory of a world and already the hook for the next campaign. And it's to encourage people to learn how to GM at the same as, yes, AJ wins all the time in the game, in our playtests.
I got tired of people saying, like, I can't GM, I'm not a Bria, I'm not Brennan, I'm not Matt. So I started to design a game that exists solely to show that anybody can be a GM. So what a GM has to do is they have to craft a story. So we take down the basic building blocks of a story, we give you prompts, and then you pitch something based on each prompt. And you and whoever you're playing with then votes for which prompt prompt everybody likes most, and whoever wins gets to have their pitch become canon. And by the time it's all said and done, you've told a story collaboratively. You'll have NPCs and everything already firmly established, because after each story point, there's an NPC phase where we show you a picture of a character and you tell us who they are and what their relation is to the story, and then you've got a whole thing by the time you're done. So I want people to believe in their own ability to GM, and that's why I designed this. So that's game design is hard.
Game design is hard.
No, nobody told me that part. But
genuinely, that is fantastic, because you have exactly identified a very common feeling, and you have gamified it in a way that like sounds great, and it does exactly what you said. Where like anyone can GM, and it's understand, like there's that barrier there where people are like, oh, I have to do exactly, oh, I can't do it, blah blah blah. And in playing this game, you're just, anyone can do it. Just like
yes.
we're all here having fun telling stories together. Even if you've like only played before and you've never GM'd, you're still coming up with story on the fly. You're still doing stuff on the fly. You just need to extend that a little bit. Like
like when you make your backstory, you're telling a story.
So, like, for example, here's one of the inciting incident cards. A powerful artifact was stolen from a monastery. What is at stake now that it's gone?
So good.
And then, like, you build off of that. What was the item? What's, what effect did it have on the world? And you go from there. Yeah, it's fun. It's so far, our playtests have been, we've done a couple changes on the fly. We're still in alpha testing now, but having it printed and having it real is helpful.
Yeah, when I saw those cards, I was like, "Oh my god, it's real! I have to commit to this now."
It looks good,
which was a nightmare. That brings us to the next segment that we have here, which is called Petty Prime Time. This is if you want to subtweet, we give you the space to do so. Of course, I will model the behavior by going first. This is a subtweet that I actually subtweet on Twitter, and I stand by it. Some conversations are too big for Twitter. You'll do yourself a huge favor. And one, if you see a take on Twitter that you vehemently disagree with, and you're like, oh, this makes my blood boil, take a step back, ask yourself, is anybody here having this conversation in good faith? If you can look at the comments and see that people are just talking to be right, don't engage. It's just gonna bum you out. Nuance. Twitter is where nuance goes to die. So save your energy for something more productive and creative, like, I don't know, writing a game or smoking a bong or watching.
That's way more creative than engaging in Twitter disputes. Smoke a bong.
I literally saw a take on Twitter that I was like, I gotta get high about this. Like, I'm not gonna say anything. I just need to really go and smoke about this. So look, just protect your peace. and understand that Twitter has its uses. Debate is not one of them. Nobody is going on Twitter going, I can't wait to have my mind and my perspective on things changed. Like, nobody does that. So every now and then it might happen, but for the most part, protect your peace.
I mean, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, would anybody else like to subtweet anything?
I'm not good at subtweeting. I won't lie.
No worries.
Um,
Everything here is optional, so if you want to pass, feel free. No judgment.
Yeah, because it would be very similar. I feel like we've talked about that a lot today. We've touched on stuff along that lines a lot today. Is similarly just letting time for nuance, and I wish people would, allow the space and the understanding at the time for things such as the following list of things. Let me just allowing things to not be for them without it being claiming it's objectively bad or wrong.
Yes.
Allowing things the time and space to realize that not every conversation is one you need to be in. Not every single thing needs your voice on it. Like, are you actually adding something to conversation, or are you just dogpiling on something? Are you just like any and all of these things? The understanding like that there is more to everything than what you can see. Your perspective will always be limited. What you can see and understand is always wrapped around what you have seen and experienced. And so as such, like, you're always, even if you think you're coming at something unbiased, you're not. You are bringing in everything you've been through. So sometimes you need to stop and be like, wait, am I seeing this in a way that is either not helpful or assuming the worst or like all this kind of stuff? And understand, once again, coming back also to what I was talking about, like, those feelings of like sadness, disappointment, and anger when you see certain things. It's understandable that that's your brain's first reaction. Those are some of the primary feelings that our brains, to protect us, they put up a barrier of like, oh, this is bad, I'm angry, like that. Why can't I have that? That is very natural, but to not act on it immediately, to like stop.
Yeah.
Stop. My thing is slow down. Everyone stop, drop, and roll. Like, just.
Go ahead.
Do you like my subtweet?
Absolutely.
Hey, game companies, make it easier for me to take your money. Like, if you want people to play your games, maybe offer incentives for people to play your games so that, I don't know, we could pay Cass and stuff. Like, game codes are great. Like, copies of the PDFs are great. They're not going to put food in my belly or in the bellies of the people that are playing at the table with me.
Artists die of exposure.
Yes. Doing a lot of work to promote your stuff. Like,
Yeah.
help us help you. That's it. That's my subtweet.
Yeah.
Like, make your contact information easier at the very least. At the very least, make it easier for us to just say, hey, we're doing something cool. Like, would you like to help us do something cool, at least with cross-promotion or something? That's it. That's my subtweet.
No, I feel that there's a company that I know that's notorious for doing that kind of thing. Just help. And the kind of hop on Jess's point, to your subtweet a little bit. There's nothing to be gained by being a party pooper. There really isn't. There really isn't. Like, right now, my timeline is going wild over the new Zelda game. I'm not a fan, but I'm happy that my friends have a game that they're excited about. Like, I've never been a big Zelda guy. So, like, when Zelda comes out and my friends are happy, I'm happy that they're happy. but like I've seen people go, "This is his real Zelda, like this Ocarina of Time," and like, okay, all right, like no, we get you, like, but like, imagine a game that you do like I am a huge Devil May Cry fan, right? If I'm doing a Twitter thread and I'm like, I love Devil May Cry, here's all the things I love about Devil May Cry, and somebody hops in the thread and goes, Devil May Cry sucks and here's why, like, we're not gonna have a productive conversation. Like, just don't. But again, I am very happy that all my friends are happy.
Unless the yum is harmful, don't yuck it.
Yeah.
Not the Devil May Cry fan. Yeah. Like I stole a Devil May Cry 3 stand when I used to work at Target. Like we had it. You're not supposed to take them, but I went to my boss and I'm like,
it's Target. Steal from sorry.
Steal from Corpos.
Yeah. Target doesn't exist in Canada, so I'm just saying nonsense words right now. So I didn't say anything real.
No, go ahead, steal from Target. They wait till you take $100 worth of stuff so they can charge you as a felony. So steal $99 worth of stuff from Target. And then stop. But anyway, that brings us to, we've got 2 more segments left for you. And we end on the positive note. So this next one's not it depends, but this next one's not really a positive note, but we end strong on a positive note. So we'll just jump right into it. If you've been in the TTRPG space for long enough, you've probably had the displeasure of playing with a that guy at the table. If you're unfamiliar with what a that guy is, that is somebody that is a veritable black hole of fun at the table. Somebody that if they were yeeted into the sun, your experience at that game would increase tenfold. So Jess, I have to ask, have you played with a that guy?
I'm just trying to narrow down to one. Like,
I'm so sorry. That's the answer I hate the most.
I'm trying to think I'm like, which one actually, we were just talking about like having conversations that actually have like value and stuff like that. And so I'm like, some of that stuff, like there's some stuff you are seeing legitimately less. And I'm like, thank goodness, I'm seeing less of this and less of that. So what's one that can actually like be good advice? Like, don't do this thing. Like,
Well, can you mind if I ask what we're seeing less of? Because I have some thoughts on that as well.
You know what? It might also just be that I'm not in the spaces as much. I've removed myself from a lot of the situations. You know what? It might be just my own weeding of the garden.
Yeah.
Sometimes you gotta weed the garden. You gotta weed your gardening. Just gotta take out.
So for full transparency, the reason that we started this segment is because I've seen a lot of people go, I tried D&D and then this is the experience I had and I never did it again. And I like to have people that have had a presence in the space kind of share these stories so that if you're somebody who like you tried D&D once and there was just like this asshole, I want people to be aware like that does happen. But if you continue on in spite of it and you find the right people, that's the most important part, finding the table that fits you, because there is one, I promise, then you'll be able to look back the same way a lot of our guests have and go, that was a spicy meatball, but that's not the hobby. It's just, it's like, when you play guitar, you are going to cut your fingers, you're going to get calluses. It's kind of it's the growing pains. And unfortunately for this particular hobby, the callous fingers, the cut fingers are that guys. You're going to run into them, but if you strive on, then you will find your happiness here. So that's why we do this.
I'm sorry, I was silently cracking up because you're like, in this space, the calyxes, the cuts and stuff. I thought you were about to say our people.
Well, it is, yeah.
It's people. The problem is people.
This place would be great if it weren't for all the fucking people.
The problem is the same as Soylent Green. It's people.
It's people.
That was a spicy meatball, but it's not your only meal.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. Then I will go, actually. This connects back to something I was talking about earlier about like finding when you're like, how did you get started in this space? And like finding the right space and stuff like that. So I did legitimately, as a human person, try and find in-person spaces to play games. Like I did as like a young person, being like, I don't know exactly what these games are, but I know I love games, and I know I love telling stories, and I know I love, fantasy and like that jazz. So let me find something that does it. So I went to like my local game store, and I was like there was literally actively, the kind of thing where it's like very store up front and then kind of starting to go toward the back. So there starts to be like some games, and then like there was full on like a game room where you could play all the board games and TTRPGs and stuff like that in the corner. And so there were people playing. One of the times I went to buy some games, and I was like, shy little baby me was like, hi, I see that people play games here. Is that something I can do? Like, can I sign up for a game or play a game? And the game store owner legit was like, really? Like you want to play games? Like, I was full femme them. I wasn't, my full them self yet. Like,
Yeah.
But just in general, they were like, oh, female.
Oh, sound like a Ferengi.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it gets worse. Hang on. So they were like, you want to play games? Like the caterpillar in Alice in Wonderland with the hookah smoking out the letters. Like, and I was like, yeah, I'm interested. Is that possible? And for a second, he was like, oh, yeah, like that'd be, you want to play? That's cool. Like, maybe we can. And then he stopped himself, and then he thought about it. And then he was like, actually, it's pretty much all guys. And now that I think about it, they'll all probably be really terrible to you. And I remember just stopping and being like surprised, and I had to like decompress and take it away and like go step away later to come back to it. When I realized, I was like, why was your answer not to fix the spaces? Why was your answer in your own space? This was the store owner. This wasn't a worker at the store. This was the guy. I knew him personally. He owned the store. And the fact that he went, rather than fix my spaces, rather than make it work, rather than like try and figure this out, how it could be a thing, he went first shock that this was, that I would even ask. And then secondarily, like, no, you can't, you shouldn't. It'll just be really, really bad. And I'm not going to do anything about that. It's just the way it is.
It's gonna suck. You probably shouldn't. Oof.
Oof.
And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Thanks for telling me, I guess. Goodbye.
Yeah.
And I never went back.
Oh.
That to me feels like a microcosm of the space as a whole. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of grognards that are unhappy about the direction TTRPG has been taking. And they're like, I don't like all this, and I hate to even use it the way that they use it, but like, I don't like all this woke stuff. But the thing that I always bring up as a counterpoint is TTRPG has never been bigger than it is now. And that is because of the influence of hearing people that never got a chance to dictate where this space goes. So the second they get a say, it blows up, and we're getting D&D movies. We're getting fucking a Roots movie. We're getting Roots the game, not like, this is the only thing greater than myself. No, but like we're getting all this stuff. We're getting a D&D channel. We're getting all this stuff because we care about it, and we've kind of dragged the grognards in this hobby kicking and screaming to prosperity, and they're still bitching, and it just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of the reasons I chose that story is because to me, the good that came out of it was that I found online spaces, was that I found online gaming, which then took me in the direction of also finding so many, other things that I fell in love with and that sort of stuff. So being so pushed out of some of the spaces let me find the spaces that were the right ones for me.
Yeah.
So, or make them.
I like that a lot. Anita, do you have a bad guy story for us this week?
My that guy is someone at the table that gave me the worst character to romance. I'm just messing with you.
No, that's fair.
Hey.
I appreciate that.
They knew what they were doing.
They knew exactly what they were doing. They were like, yeah, I'll help romance your character. And then they gave me the worst character to romance. But it's okay. I can commit. I'll romance Gunther McHammer. I'll romance the fuck out of Gunther McHammer. Fuck you. You're gonna get romance so good. You won't even know it hit you.
I'm actually terrified.
You activated my petty.
I do have a bad guy story for this week. And that guy was me! So I was in a project, and my saltiness was faster than my responsibility, and I only used the safety tool once I had already hit peak salt. And that's not the way safety tools are supposed to be used. I fucked that up. I fucked that up heavy. I'm still giving myself the space, and the time to like do the make right. But I think it's important to not just have this segment to be like, there are people out there that suck, but like to acknowledge like there are times where we know the standard, and sometimes we don't meet the standard, and safety tools are only half the work. The other half is being cognizant and aware of your own shit. This kind of goes back to my confession earlier of just not being in the right headspace, not giving myself the time to acknowledge my burnout, because this is a symptom of what burnout can do, which is being reactive. And when you sit at a table, you owe everybody at that table to present your best self, and I failed on that. And so I'm doing the work to do the make right. But this week I was that guy, and to everybody involved, I'm dearly sorry. But yeah, that's my that guy story of the week. So don't be an asshole. But if you are going to be an asshole, hold yourself accountable and do what you can to fix it. So that is, I believe that's the that guy portion, and so we finally make it to the last segment, which is the community spotlight. Which is if there is somebody that has made you feel particularly welcomed in the space, or if there is somebody that you know that you want to give an opportunity to platform and just kind of let people know that this is somebody they should be on the lookout for, or if just somebody that you like, you just want to kind of give them a hey, thanks for being a cool cat. This is the space that we give you on the show to do just that. So, if you'd like to, you can take it away with the community spotlight, or I could start, whichever you all feel comfortable with.
I'll start. I feel like I've made you start every single time. Which is nice of you. You know, that's not leading by example.
You know,
Love that.
you got to do what
good.
you can. You know,
Yeah,
I want people to feel welcome here.
Yeah, it's good. It's nice. This last question, so I can go forward. My only issue with this one is that it's too many. Like, and I, now that you've like said it, I'm like, oh god, I should have known this, and I should have like prepared a whole list because there's so many people doing so much cool stuff out there. I definitely want to like think on and acknowledge like so many amazing like indie game designers and like just folks in the space. Earlier in chat, Lucha and Lattes was here, who is not only a fantastic game designer, is a supportive person in the space, makes the most amazing Excel sheets, which is to say that literally one of the last like fully paid games I had where I was like, this is it. I can pay my whole cast good monies and I'm going to do the whole production. They were on it, and she, without question, she literally was like, here, I made an easier access to all the rules for everyone to use. And I'm like busy doing like graphics and design and production and like prepping the cast. And I'm like, where did this come from? And legit, it made the game better for everyone.
The
like
keepers are so choice, so good. If you can get a good one.
Yeah, like this is someone who comes to the table and is like benefits the whole table just with her skill and organization, and fantastic. Also makes amazing games. And then speaking in that same line, there were several other people at that same table who were some of my favorite people still out there doing stuff like making shows, making games. Is Kevin Nguyen, who makes a game, who publishes games under Win Condition. Viditia, if you don't know Viditia Valetti, who is, if you haven't had Viditia on the show, you should. But also, I'm warning you right now, is a notorious dice muncher. I should have said that because now you're not going to do it. But like, honestly, a fantastic, amazing person who makes unbelievably fantastic games and is someone using itch.io in a way that I don't see. Like on top of the fact that he makes amazing games and he performs games amazingly, he also uses mechanics in a way that you don't see. He did this really fun thing for some of his last games where every time someone put in a cheat code into the comments of the itch.io, he would add in a new mechanic. He would cheat code unlocked. There's now this mechanic in the game that you can use. So using the game system platform to add to the game. That is cool. How creative this person is. Wonderful, amazing Cherry Drop Rue, who also was surrounded by all these fantastic people making fantastic games, and then she was like, you know what, me too, and like stepped up and started making games, producing games. Like, wow. Like these are all amazing, fantastic people that I like can't like. I love what they do. I love their stuff. I want to see all of it. I want to see more people seeing what they do. Yeah, I don't know. There's too many people. There's too many people in the space who are doing great stuff, and I wish I had the brain that let me do the rememberies so I could shout out these amazing folks doing very cool things.
Thank you for throwing those links in chat, Sphinx.
Hell yeah. No, I'm all about it. I'll yell. No! But I'll still have a dice launcher on.
We have brought folks onto knowing their dice crunch status. It is true.
I want them to see the disappointment in my eyes as they tell me that they love to do this horrendous thing. All right, Anita, you got anybody you want to put a spotlight on?
Ooh, my spotlight's gonna go on. Actually, you know what? My spotlight's gonna go to Super Dylan, because Dylan's been showing up to our streams lately, and like I love One Hole Dylan. He's such a good game designer, such like just a wonderful supportive person, and like I want to be in more things with Dylan. They're great.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm just going to. Was there anybody else? I'm sorry if I cut you
No,
off.
you'll go.
All right. Well, I'm gonna continue on because I don't think you motherfuckers have quite gotten it yet. If you are not showing Sphinx all the love, fix it. That is the backbone of everything that we do. I have not seen an actual play exist where this person wasn't already in the chat, fully friends with everybody. Like, listen. If you don't like Sphinx, I probably don't trust you. Like, it's to that point. Vanna showed up a little earlier.
Yeah, I was like remembering that one. I was like, Vanna.
Big shout out to Vanna. That is another ridiculously hard worker. I think I've only been in 2 games with Vanna. I would love to be in more. Vanna's just a really cool individual all the way around. Halfling Nikki is always going to be a mainstay of my community spotlight because they just such a wonderful, warm light in the space that should be getting far more love. And of course, my String Punks family, I love them dearly, and my Kingsguard family. But yeah, that's my community spotlight.
Hell yeah.
And I think
amazing.
We're just about at the 3-hour mark, so
Yeah.
let's begin to wind down. I've been I like how we're getting quieter.
I've been an ASMR stream by the time we're done.
I've been one of your hosts, TheNoirEnigma. You can find me all over the internet as TheNoirEnigma. That's Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. Please check out my website, TheNoirEnigma.com. I'm going to update it later today. But I can tell you what is updated, the merch on there. Please help me, I'm poor. You can find me every Friday on Gen Con for Table Takes, where we give you all the latest in the latest news in the TTRPG space. You can find me here every Saturday morning. Who's our next guest?
Our next guest is Trevor Vahi, Tattoos and Bones.
Hell yeah. Trevor's good people. Every Monday you can find me over on Cryptic Studios Twitch channel for our Star Trek games, Star Trek Clear Skies Perseverance, and there's other things that I'm forgetting. But yeah, I'll pass it on to the other host, Anita.
Hello, that's me. Hi, I'm Anita. I'm a TTRPG producer, graphic designer, performer, and cat mom about the space. I messed that up, but it's okay. You can find me next tomorrow on Pluto Cleric's channel for The Weird Frontier, which is a Starfinder game. You can also find me on Tuesdays over on Modifius' channel for the Star Trek Adventures actual play that they are running. I play a morally gray business trill with 8 lifetimes of business acumen. People were disappearing on the station, and then they kept coming back, and I kept getting them drunker and drunker. It was a good time. Next, after that, you can also find me Fridays on Gen Con TV for Table Takes Game Night. I'm a regular on that, and you're gonna watch me romance the heck out of the most unlovable character that Noir has.
Jeez.
Sold.
And other than that, we have on the channel, if you want to run a game on this, we'll handle the casting, we'll handle the production and everything. Just send your pitches in. We've got our summer pitch form is open to folks. So if you want to run a game on the channel, the link is in the chat. Fill it out, and we'll tell some stories together. Yeah, I'll do all the work. You could just bring the stories. That's it. That's all. That's me. Jess.
Hi, I'm here too. I'm Jess or Faun. You can find me at FaunAndGames at most places online, and that is FaunAndGames for the pun of fun and games, but it's Faun and Games. Get it? Ho ho. I do some TTRPG stuff. I would love to do more. So hey, hit me up for all sorts of games, events, fundraisers, that sort of stuff. Production. I love to do it. I get to do some stuff for Roll20 and Bully Pulpit Games very regularly, which is always a very fun, very chaotic time. You can also catch me streaming on my own channel. I do a lot of variety content. I do highlight a lot of indie games because I'm such an absolute nerd for indie games, especially, like I said, things that are doing different things, where we really get to uplift and hear from, voices we haven't gotten to hear enough from in the past. So anything like that, I will probably be playing an early access copy of it or a demo of it to share with y'all. And then I'll be doing some of the, more known stuff like Stardew Valley. And I did start to play a new Zelda. And I skipped Breath of the Wild. So I'm going in like everyone else I know was like, let me grind out the last bit of Breath of the Wild. And I was like, no, it's too late. I'm gonna just jump into Tears for Fears, crying in the club, decline in the Hyrule Kingdom, and just see how we do, making an absolute mess out of stuff. So I'm streaming every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday over on my Twitch channel, and I would love to see y'all there. And I do have an itch.io, and I need to update it, but I do have a few things. I would like to make more things, so I'm gonna be, do my penance and try and do that. So
hell yeah.
Yeah. Well, that has been our show, everybody. Thank you all so much for joining us. We're going to go on a raid. We're going to go say hi to... so we can either go say hi to DeLively, which we normally say hi to Sam, or I do also know that the wonderful Husha Kid is streaming Jedi Survivor currently.
And let's go say hi to AJ.
Let's go send some love over AJ's direction. So we are going to go raid Husha Kid. Thank you again so much. And Jess, thank you so much for stopping by and hanging out with us this morning. It's been absolute blast, and we're going to have to bully you to come back.
Thank you so much for chatting with me.
Hell yeah. But until next time, everybody, the ritual has concluded. Bye!